I'm sorry, I won't take any question because, as you know, the report won't speak for itself. Thank you.
Well, folks, it seems like it's becoming increasingly more difficult to believe anything that we're told due to the combination of our government and media giving us false information. Now, Commissioner Hogue came out with this statement in her report on the public inquiry for foreign interference yesterday, and this is exactly what she said.
The government sometimes took too long to act, and coordination was not always optimal. The means used to communicate information to certain decision makers, including elected officials, proved imperfect. Sometimes, very much so, since certain documents never got to where they were supposed to go, and there seems to be no good reason why. But above all, I found that the government has been overall a poor communicator when it comes to foreign interference. La plupart des Canadiennes et des Canadiens ont...
Most Canadians first learned about foreign interference through media reports, without the government being the source of the information communicated. This should not have been the case. The government needs to better inform the public, and it needs to be more transparent.
Now, I do agree with Commissioner Hogue that we shouldn't be finding this stuff out from the media. They should be following up after the government has at least told us. But then I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, how is this even possible? Trudeau said this was going to be the most transparent government that we've ever had. If you recall, in 2015, this was what he ran on, saying only Trudeau is offering for an open and transparent government. And in his statement, he says, only the Liberals have a plan for a real change that will restore trust in our democracy and ensure an open and transparent government. Well, 10 years later, and it seems like nothing has changed, and he was just lying the whole time. Now, we all pretty much know that Trudeau's a liar, but it goes on to say in this report that there actually hasn't been any traitors found.
That said, and it is one of my most important observations, our democratic institutions have remained robust in the face of attempted foreign interference. Nor have I seen any evidence to suggest that there are currently so-called traitors in Parliament. While I saw evidence of some concerning behavior, the evidence does not show any MPs plotting with foreign states against Canada's interest.
But if you go back 3-4 months, Mr. Transparent over here said this at the federal inquiry about the foreign interference.
I received what I characterize here as explosive, certainly extremely alarming information around foreign interference into a particular political party.
There we go.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would not name names or identify which country was interfering, but he did name the party.
I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and/or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference.
Do you know which minister is responsible?
That revelation is a first, though Trudeau, on cross-examination by a Conservative Party lawyer, said that politicians from all parties were implicated in foreign interference. But that revelation was just a prelude to slamming Pierre Poilievre for refusing the top-secret security briefing in which Poilievre might learn the names of those Conservative parliamentarians.
It is so egregious to me that the leader of the official opposition, who is certainly trying very hard to become prime minister, is choosing to play partisan games.
However, we can't just throw all the blame on Justin, because when the report initially came out, we also had Jagmeet Singh coming out and saying this.
I am more alarmed today than I was yesterday after having read the report. What is clear to me is that Justin Trudeau knew and didn't act, and Pierre Poilievre doesn't even want to know about serious allegations touching his party. To me, that disqualifies him as a leader, and I do not buy his phony excuses.
So we have Jagmeet and Justin both saying that Pierre Poilievre should have got his clearance to find out the names of these conservative members who had some foreign interference. Yet the Hogue report states that there was no traitors and no MPs are affiliated with any sort of thing. So what is really going on here, you might ask? Well, Vashi Kapelos decides to ask the Liberal Public Safety Minister, David McGuinty, and this is how that went.
That's Justice Marie-Josée Hogue releasing her final report as Commissioner of the National Inquiry on Foreign Interference. In that clip there, responding to a report released last year from what's called the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, or NSICOP for short. That report stated the committee had seen troubling intelligence that some parliamentarians are, in the words of the intelligence services, quote, semi-witting or winning participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in Canadian politics. Justice Hogue also making 51 recommendations to better protect this country against foreign interference, 24 of which she says could be implemented before the next election. Joining me now to talk about this a little bit more is Public Safety Minister David McGuinty. Hi, Minister. Good to have you here in studio. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you, Vashi.
I wanted to start off on the NSICOP report versus what we heard from Justice Hogue, and particularly because you chaired that committee, and your name was on that report that came out. That report concluded that there was intelligence suggesting that there were basically parliamentarians, former or sitting, who had wittingly engaged in foreign interference. She concludes the opposite, that there is no witting engagement. There are no traitors in Parliament. Who's right?
Well, the first thing I want to say to Madam Justice Hogue is this is an incredible piece of work. This is a really, really good report. A great diagnosis of the challenge of foreign interference and a great series of recommendations for improvement. Look, there's not that much different between the report done by NSICOP. In fact, NSICOP did 3 foreign interference reviews, not 1, and on 2 separate occasions made similar comments. But what she's revealed is she said she's had much more access to more difficult obtained intelligence. So she had more time, more lawyers. Her mandate was different than the work that the review committee at NSICOP does. And another difference is this. At NSICOP, you have 11 parliamentarians. So they're quite steeped in the practice and the art of politics. This was a legal approach to the challenge. And I think taken together, they complement each other. And I think right now it's time for us to move forward to implement much of the change.
So we have the NSICOP report that stated that there were foreign interference with some of the MPs. You have Commissioner Hogue's report saying that there isn't. He's claiming that they complement each other, but then also stating that 2 out of the 3 reports that they did versus the 1 that she did also said the same thing that she came to say. So what the hell is actually going on? Did you find that there was foreign interference, or did you not find that there was foreign interference? Because if 2 out of your 3 align with the 1 that she did, and hers is the final report saying that there wasn't any interference, why then did Justin and Jagmeet, the people that read the report, state that the Conservatives were questionable and that Pierre needed to get clearance? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's confusing Vashi as well. Take a look.
I have questions about how that change will be implemented, but I guess I am confused on how they might complement each other. And just when you made that comment about there being kind of politics involved, are you intimating that part of the conclusion reached by NSICOP was political in nature?
No, I think that there's just simply an experience that comes to bear when you're a group of parliamentarians deliberating about different fact scenarios and intelligence that's given to you. She's had the benefit of perhaps additional information, as she says in her own review, information that was not brought to our attention at the time. But I don't think there's much daylight here at all between the 2 reviews. I think if you look at the bulk of the text, 90% of it is very similar, and the recommendations tend to be very overlapping.
I would argue that the daylight is that there are people who read your report and your committee's report and concluded there were traitors sitting in Parliament, and that prospect existed for such a long time that there were MPs calling on the government to release names, to name names, versus hers, which is conclusive that there are not traitors in Parliament. I don't get how that's complementary.
The word traitor never appeared in any NSICOP review.
But she debunks the idea even that there are semi-witting or witting people. She says if they are involved in that, based on further evidence that she was able to review and the underlying evidence that you based your conclusions on, that she did not arrive at that conclusion.
Yeah. I don't know if she went that far. I think she went as far as saying that there was behavior which was questionable. I think in that sense, she's reaffirming a lot of the findings of the NSICOP review, but there is no indication at all. There never was an indication of the word treasonous or treason or traitors never appeared in any works. I think these were remarks made by an intemperate politician at an intemperate and maybe an inappropriate moment.
Now, he claims that the word traitor or treasonous was never in the actual report. Yet Canadians, the media, other MPs, other party members, even Commissioner Hogue, who made it a point saying that there were no traitors, all inferred that from the report because the politician that you may be referring to was the leader of the Liberal Party, aka the Prime Minister of Canada, when again he was on the federal inquiry saying this.
I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference.
Now, listening to these liberals makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills, because even Vashi points out, you may have not said the word traitors in your report, but the wording that you use definitely infers that there's traitors or some sort of funny business. And he then, again, just triples down saying, yeah, there's not much difference between our two reports.
What the report said. Unfortunately, the committee has also seen troubling intelligence that some parliamentarians are, in the words of intelligence services, semi-witting or witting participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in our politics. That doesn't say traitor, but it says a whole lot that she didn't.
Well, she said there was evidence of very concerning behavior. I don't see a lot of difference between what we're saying, what we said at the time, what she's saying now. And again, she's had the benefit of a different kind of process, maybe a dozen lawyers, hundreds of witnesses, much more time, more resources. But I think you would find if you went back to the NSICOP members of the committee and asked them how they felt, I think they feel that they made a major contribution. Here's the good news.
But did you jump the gun? To be fair, do you think you put too much? Do you think that part of the report essentially, like, do you still stand by it? Or should it have been maybe more cautious?
No, absolutely. And in fact, the same language was used in the 2019 Foreign Interference Review, verbatim. Several years later, it was lifted and brought forward. So nobody raised that in 2019, 2020, 2021, or 22, 2023. So we have a situation now where I think we have a go-forward strategy and good recommendations for improvement. That's what I really am focusing on.
Now, David tries to bring up the 2019 and so on elections, saying like nothing happened. Yet just last year was when we found out about the Han Dong situation and the Chinese interference, when Global and other people started doing investigations on that specific situation.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. After a months-long investigation into alleged attempts by Beijing to interfere in Canada's democratic process, Global News can reveal new allegations emerging from an ongoing probe by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. Intelligence sources tell Global News that investigators have been tracking current Ontario Liberal MP Han Dong since the summer of 2019. And those sources say he is one of 11 Toronto area riding candidates believed to be supported by Beijing in the lead up to that year's federal election, and alleged to be an affiliate in China's election interference networks. Tonight, Mackenzie Gray has the new revelations in this Global News investigation. Mackenzie.
Farah, after an 8-month investigation, intelligence sources have told Global News that current Liberal MP Han Dong is alleged to have been supported by Beijing in 2019, and the Prime Minister's senior staff were warned about it.
And guess what? Even the Indian media is reporting on this, saying that Justin Trudeau knew about this, was warned, and the only reason it came out was because the media caught wind of it, which made him had to release this information.
But where did this poll meddling row begin? And how was India dragged in? In 2023, Canadian media published a bombshell. It said China had meddled in the 2019 and 2021 Canadian elections. Why? To make sure that Justin Trudeau won. China did not want the Conservatives to come to power. They were seen as China hawks. So Beijing's preference was a minority government led by Justin Trudeau, which is exactly what happened. Now, Trudeau was informed about this. His spy agency, the Canadian spy agency, told him about the Chinese meddling. And what did he do? Nothing. Prime Minister Trudeau sat on it until the media got wind. Only after that did he order an inquiry, and the final report is the result of that investigation, of that inquiry. But why does it name India? Again, because of politics. During this probe, Trudeau picked a fight with India. He accused New Delhi of killing a Khalistani terrorist in Canada, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And suddenly the report is not about China anymore, it's more about India. It's about India's so-called interference. And the worst part? There is no evidence against India. It's all speculation and assessments. Let me quote from the Canadian report. Intelligence holdings indicate that India may have attempted to clandestinely provide financial support to preferred candidates. India may have also launched a disinformation campaign against Prime Minister Trudeau. A lot of ambiguity there, a lot of could have, may have, which is another way of saying we have no proof. This is not a serious government report. This is a hit job, an attempt to malign India. On the other hand, Canada's interference is well documented. We have seen Khalistani marches in Canada. We have seen attacks on Indian diplomatic missions, even Khalistani flags at events attended by Prime Minister Trudeau. People wanted in India live freely in Canada. We are talking about criminals and separatists. India has sent 26 extradition requests. 26 requests are pending with Canada. And for these, we've shared the evidence. We've shared phone and location details, yet Canada refuses to extradite these people. What's more, they let these separatists flourish. In 2021, a Khalistan referendum was organized in Canada. In 2023, another vote was organized. Is this not interference? Is this not meddling in India's affairs? The fact is, Justin Trudeau is desperate. His legacy is already in tatters. This China probe could make things worse for him. So now he's trying to hide his past failures and he's shifting the blame to India. But nobody is buying the sham report or its accusations. It is the last roll of the dice from a lame duck prime minister. Or should we say governor? Maybe add that to the meddling report next time. Surely a US invasion counts as meddling.
So it looks like India is even keeping an eye on the report that Hogue put out, blaming Trudeau of actually interfering with Indian politics, not so much India dealing with Canadian politics. But as always, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Is this government as transparent as you were expecting it to be? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.